When Bella, a white woman, unexpectedly gives birth to black triplets, her husband leaves, unable to handle the shocking turn of events. Left to raise them alone, Bella's love and strength carries her through. But years later, an unexpected surprise changes everything. Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. And if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe. Bella and Lucas had been waiting for this moment for what felt like forever. Their cozy home was filled with the warmth of love and the excitement of new beginnings. As they stood in the freshly painted nursery, surrounded by 3 tiny cribs, their hearts swelled with joy. "Can you believe it, honey?" Bella whispered, her hand resting on her round belly. "We're going to be parents to 3 beautiful babies." Lucas wrapped his arm around his wife's shoulders, pulling her close. "I can't wait to meet them," he said, his voice thick with emotion. They had spent months preparing for this day. The walls of the nursery were adorned with cheerful animal stickers, and a mobile of stars and moons hung above each crib. Stuffed toys and tiny clothes filled the drawers, all neatly organized and waiting for their new owners. As the sun began to set, Bella felt a sharp pain. Her eyes widened, and she gripped Lucas's hand. "I think it's time," she said, a mix of excitement and nervousness in her voice. Lucas sprang into action, grabbing the hospital bag they had packed weeks ago. His hands shook slightly as he helped Bella into the car. The drive to the hospital was a blur of anticipation and nervous energy. At the hospital, the nurses quickly settled Bella into a room. Lucas held her hand tightly, his eyes never leaving her face. "You're doing great, sweetheart," he murmured, wiping her forehead with a cool cloth. Hours passed, filled with the ebb and flow of contractions. Bella's face was flushed with effort, but her eyes shone with determination. Lucas stood by her side, offering words of encouragement and support. As the moment drew near, the room buzzed with activity. Doctors and nurses moved efficiently around them, their voices calm and reassuring. Bella and Lucas exchanged a look of pure love and excitement. They were on the brink of meeting their children, the 3 little miracles they had dreamed of for so long. The delivery room was a flurry of activity as Bella's labor reached its climax. Doctors and nurses moved with practiced efficiency, their voices calm but urgent. Lucas stood by Bella's side, holding her hand tightly as she pushed with all her might. "You're doing great, honey," Lucas encouraged, his voice trembling with excitement. "They're almost here." With a final, determined effort, Bella gave one last push. The room filled with the sound of a baby's cry, followed quickly by 2 more. The triplets had arrived, but as the doctors held up the newborns, an eerie silence fell over the room. The medical staff exchanged uneasy glances, their faces a mix of confusion and concern. Lucas's eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at his children. All 3 babies were black. Bella, exhausted from the delivery, struggled to lift her head. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice weak. "Are they okay?" Lucas stood frozen, his mouth agape. He looked from the babies to Bella and back again, unable to process what he was seeing. The nurses, sensing the tension, quickly began cleaning and wrapping the newborns. "I don't understand," Lucas muttered, his voice barely audible. His face contorted with a mix of emotions, confusion, anger, and betrayal. Bella, still unaware of the situation, reached out for her babies. "Let me see them," she pleaded. As the nurse gently placed the first baby in Bella's arms, realization dawned on her face. She looked up at Lucas, her eyes filled with shock and confusion. "Lucas, But before she could finish, Lucas turned on his heel and stormed out of the room, leaving Bella alone with their newborn triplets and a room full of stunned medical staff. Tears welled up in Bella's eyes as she cradled her baby, the weight of the situation crashing down on her. The joy of becoming a mother was now overshadowed by confusion and the sudden absence of her husband. Bella lay in the hospital bed, her mind reeling from the events that had just unfolded. The room felt eerily quiet now, save for the soft cooing of her newborn triplets. She gazed at the 3 tiny bundles nestled in the bassinet beside her. their dark skin a stark contrast to her own pale complexion. Tears streamed down her face as she tried to make sense of it all. How could this be? She and Lucas had been so excited, so in love. Now, in the blink of an eye, everything had changed. A gentle knock on the door pulled Bela from her thoughts. Dr. Anderson, the obstetrician who had delivered the babies, entered the room with a sympathetic smile. "How are you feeling, Bela?" she asked softly, approaching the bed. Bela wiped her eyes, struggling to find words. I don't understand," she whispered. "How is this possible?" Dr. Anderson placed a comforting hand on Bela's arm. "I know this must be overwhelming for you," she said. "But I want you to know that all 3 babies are perfectly healthy. They're beautiful, strong little ones." Bela nodded, grateful for the reassurance, but her heart ached. She glanced at the empty chair where Lucas should have been sitting. "My husband," she began, her voice cracking. The doctor's expression softened. "I'm sorry he left like that. It's not uncommon for fathers to feel overwhelmed in these situations. Give him some time to process." Bela closed her eyes, fighting back a fresh wave of tears. She wanted to believe the doctor's words, but Lucas's absence felt like a gaping wound. One of the babies began to fuss, and Dr. Anderson gently lifted the child, placing her in Bela's arms. "Here's your little girl," she said warmly. "She needs her mama." As Bela cradled her daughter, she felt a surge of love wash over her. Despite her confusion and hurt, she knew in her heart that these were her children. She gazed down at the tiny face, counting 10 perfect fingers and toes. "They're really okay?" Bela asked, her voice small and uncertain. Dr. Anderson nodded reassuringly. "They're more than okay, they're thriving. You did an amazing job, Bela." For a moment, Bela allowed herself to bask in the joy of motherhood, pushing aside her worries about Lucas and the future. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but right now all that mattered were the 3 precious lives she had brought into the world. As the days passed, Bela's hope for Lucas's return dwindled. She cradled little Maya in her arms, watching Isaac and Noah sleep peacefully in their hospital bassinets. The room felt emptier than ever without Lucas by her side. Her phone buzzed and Bela's heart leaped, but as she read the message, her face crumpled. Lucas's words were cold and distant. "I need time to think. Don't try to contact me." Tears streamed down Bela's cheeks as she clutched Maya closer. The baby whimpered, sensing her mother's distress. Bela took a deep breath, trying to compose herself for her children's sake. "It's okay, little one," she whispered, gently rocking Maya. "Mama's here. Mama will always be here." As she gazed at her 3 beautiful babies, Bela felt a fierce determination well up inside her. These innocent children needed her, regardless of the circumstances of their birth or the color of their skin. With trembling hands, she reached for the hospital paperwork. It was time to give her babies names that would carry meaning and strength. She thought of the biblical stories her grandmother used to tell her, of faith and perseverance in the face of adversity. "Isaac," she murmured, writing the name on the first form. "God's laughter." She prayed that joy would find its way back into their lives. "Noah," she continued, filling out the second form. "Rest and comfort." She hoped her son would always find peace, even in turbulent times. Finally, she looked down at the daughter in her arms. "Maya," she said softly. "Water, life-giving and ever-flowing, like the love she felt for her children." As Bela completed the paperwork, she made a silent vow. She would raise these children with all the love in her heart, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Lucas might have abandoned them, but she would be strong enough for all of them. As Bela stepped through the front door of her home, the silence hit her like a wave. The house that once buzzed with excitement and love now felt cold and empty. She carefully set down the baby carriers, each holding one of her precious triplets. Isaac, Noah, and Maya slept peacefully, unaware of the turmoil surrounding their arrival. Bela's eyes welled up with tears as she looked around the nursery she and Lucas had lovingly prepared together. The cheerful yellow walls and carefully arranged stuffed animals now seemed to mock her dreams of a happy family. With a deep breath, Bela pushed aside her sorrow and focused on her baby's needs. She gently lifted Isaac from his carrier and cradled him close. "We'll be okay," she whispered, more to herself than to the sleeping infant. "Mama's got you." As the days passed, Bela fell into an exhausting routine of feeding, changing, and comforting her triplets. The lack of sleep and constant demands left her feeling drained, but she refused to give up. Every time she looked at her children's innocent faces, she found the strength to keep going. However, the world outside her home wasn't as forgiving. On a rare trip to the grocery store, Bella felt the weight of judgmental stares. She overheard whispers as she struggled to maneuver the triplet stroller down the aisles. "Did you hear? Lucas left her. Those babies can't be his." "Poor man. I always thought she was too good to be true." Bella's cheeks burned with shame and anger, but she held her head high. She wouldn't let their cruel words break her spirit. Even her once friendly neighbors seemed to avoid her. Mrs. Johnson, who had promised to bring over a casserole when the babies arrived, now hurried inside whenever she saw Bella coming. The neighborhood barbecues and book clubs that once filled Bella's social calendar became distant memories. As Bella rocked Maya to sleep one evening, the loneliness threatened to overwhelm her. She longed for Lucas's strong arms around her, for his reassuring voice telling her everything would be all right. But as she looked down at her daughter's peaceful face, Bella knew she had to be strong for her children. As the weeks turned into months, Bella's world revolved entirely around Isaac, Noah, and Maya. The triplets demanded constant attention, leaving her exhausted and drained. Dark circles formed under her eyes, a testament to countless sleepless nights spent soothing crying babies. Bella's savings dwindled rapidly. The cost of diapers, formula, and other necessities for 3 infants was overwhelming. She stared at the mounting bills on the kitchen counter, her heart heavy with worry. How would she provide for her children in the long run? Despite the challenges, Bella found moments of pure joy in her baby's smiles and coos. She treasured the quiet moments when all 3 were content, snuggled against her chest. Their tiny hands reaching for her face never failed to melt her heart. As the triplets grew, their personalities began to emerge. Isaac was always curious, his eyes wide as he took in the world around him. Noah was the calm one, content to observe quietly. Maya, the smallest of the 3, had a fierce determination that reminded Bella of herself. One afternoon, as Bella sat on the living room floor surrounded by her children, she found herself reflecting on their future. She wanted them to grow up feeling loved and secure, despite the absence of their father. She dreamed of a home filled with laughter and warmth where her children would always feel safe and accepted. "We might not have much," Bella whispered to her babies, "but we have each other. And that's what matters most." With renewed determination, Bella began to plan. She would find a way to create the stable, loving home her children deserved. It wouldn't be easy, but as she looked at the 3 precious faces before her, she knew it would be worth every struggle. Bella's world had become a whirlwind of endless tasks and sleepless nights. The triplets demanded her attention around the clock, leaving her with barely a moment to catch her breath. She moved through each day in a fog of exhaustion, her body running on pure determination and love for her children. In the quiet hours of the night when the babies finally slept, Bella would collapse onto the couch, her muscles aching from the constant lifting and carrying. Dark circles had become a permanent feature under her eyes, a testament to her relentless dedication. Despite the overwhelming fatigue, Bella refused to reach out for help. She was determined to prove to herself and the world that she could handle this on her own. The whispers and judgmental glances from neighbors only fueled her resolve. "We don't need anyone else," she would whisper to the triplets as she rocked them to sleep. "Mommy's got this." But the truth was, Bella was pushing herself to the brink. She barely ate, often forgetting meals in the chaos of caring for 3 infants. Her once tidy home now looked like a disaster zone, with bottles, diapers, and baby clothes strewn about. There were moments when Bella's thoughts drifted to Lucas, remembering the partnership they once shared. She missed the support, the shared laughter, the simple comfort of having someone by her side. But as quickly as these thoughts came, she pushed them away, steeling herself to focus solely on her children. Isaac, Noah, and Maya were her world now. Their needs came before everything else, including her own. Bela poured every ounce of energy she had into being the best mother she could be. She sang to them, read stories, and showered them with affection, determined to fill their lives with love and security. As the days blurred together, Bela's devotion never wavered. She was exhausted beyond measure, but her love for her babies gave her the strength to keep going, one day at a time. As the triplets grew from tiny newborns into curious, babbling infants, Bela began to notice a shift in how people reacted to her family. What had once been whispers behind her back now became open stares and questioning looks when she ventured out with Isaac, Noah, and Maya. One sunny afternoon, Bela decided to take the triplets to the local park. As she pushed the stroller along the path, she caught sight of an elderly woman approaching. The woman's eyes widened as she peered into the stroller, her gaze darting between the babies and Bela. "Oh my," the woman exclaimed, her voice a mix of surprise and confusion. "Are they yours?" Bela felt a knot form in her stomach. She nodded, forcing a smile. "Yes, they're my triplets." The woman's brow furrowed. "But how?" She trailed off, leaving the unspoken question hanging in the air. This encounter was just one of many. Bela found herself fielding questions from strangers at the grocery store, at doctor's appointments, and even at the library's Mommy and Me group. Each time, she felt a mix of defensiveness and uncertainty. As the triplets grew more aware of their surroundings, Bela realized she needed to prepare herself for the challenges that lay ahead. She couldn't ignore the fact that her children would face a world that might treat them differently because of their skin color. Determined to be the best mother she could be, Bela threw herself into research. She spent late nights after the triplets were asleep, hunched over her laptop, reading articles and watching videos about raising Black children. She learned about the importance of representation, the complexities of racial identity, and the harsh realities of discrimination. Bela's heart ached as she absorbed this new knowledge. She hadn't anticipated these challenges when she first dreamed of becoming a mother. But as she looked at the peaceful faces of Isaac, Noah, and Maya sleeping in their cribs, she knew she would do whatever it took to support and protect them. Years passed in a blur of sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and precious moments with Isaac, Noah, and Maya. Bela had found her rhythm as a single mother, but the absence of Lucas still left a painful void in her heart. As her kids is asleep one evening, Bela's mind wandered to the unanswered questions that had haunted her since the triplets' birth. She longed for an explanation, not just for herself, but for her children who would one day ask about their father. With a deep breath, Bela made a decision. The next morning, she called the hospital and requested a genetic test. Her hands shook as she dialed, but her voice was steady. "I need answers," she told the receptionist, "for my children's sake." The wait for the results felt endless. Bela tried to keep busy with the triplets, but her mind constantly drifted to what the test might reveal. Finally, the day arrived when she could pick up the results. With trembling fingers, Bela opened the envelope. As she read the report, her eyes widened in disbelief. The test revealed that Bela had genetic mosaicism, a rare condition where she carried hidden African ancestry that had manifested in her children. Tears streamed down Bela's face as a wave of emotions washed over her. Relief flooded her heart, knowing that she finally had an explanation for the triplets' appearance. But with that relief came a deep sadness. The misunderstanding that had torn her family apart could have been avoided if they had known about this condition earlier. Bela looked at her sleeping kids, their peaceful faces unaware of the turmoil that had surrounded their birth. She felt a renewed sense of love and protection for them, but also a profound sorrow for the father they had yet to know. Bela sat on the couch, the genetic test results clutched in her hands. Her eyes wandered over to Isaac, Noah, and Maya, peacefully napping in their playpen. A mix of emotions swirled inside her, relief, sadness, and a glimmer of hope. "How do I move forward from here?" she whispered to herself. The truth about her genetic mosaicism answered so many questions, but it also opened up new ones. Should she reach out to Lucas? Would he even believe her? Bela's heart ached at the thought of Lucas. Despite everything, she still loved him. She longed for him to know the truth, to understand that she had never betrayed him. But fear held her back. What if he rejected them again? Meanwhile, across town, Lucas was having coffee with their old friend, Mike. His face was etched with the weariness of the past years. Mike hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Lucas, there's something you need to know," he said gently. "Bela got a genetic test done." Lucas's head snapped up, his eyes wide. "What? What did it say?" Mikey explained about the genetic mosaicism, watching as the color drained from Lucas's face. He sat in stunned silence, the weight of his mistake crashing down on him. "Oh God," he whispered, burying his face in his hands. "What have I done?" Guilt and shame washed over Lucas in waves. He had abandoned Bela and their children, accused her of infidelity, and missed out years of growing of his babies' lives. All because he jumped to conclusions without giving Bela a chance to explain. As the reality of the situation sank in, Lucas knew he had to make things right. But how? Could Bela ever forgive him for leaving her alone when she needed him most? Lucas stood up abruptly, startling Mike. "I have to go," he said, his voice filled with determination. "I need to see Bela. I need to beg for her forgiveness." Lucas stood on Bela's doorstep, his heart pounding. He raised his hand to knock, then hesitated. Taking a deep breath, he finally rapped on the door. Inside, Bela was folding laundry when she heard the knock. She wasn't expecting anyone. Curious, she made her way to the door and opened it. Her eyes widened in shock. "Lucas," she whispered, hardly believing he was really there. Lucas's face was a mix of nervousness and remorse. "Bela," he said softly, Can I come in?" Bela hesitated, then nodded, stepping aside to let him enter. The air between them was thick with tension. "I'm so sorry," Lucas blurted out as soon as the door closed. "I know about the genetic test. I know the truth now." Bela's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected this. "How did you find out?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mike told me," Lucas explained. "Bela, I feel horrible. I abandoned you and our children when you needed me most. I jumped to conclusions without giving you a chance to explain." Tears welled up in Bela's eyes, but she blinked them back. She had cried enough over the past years. "I was wrong. So wrong," Lucas continued, his voice cracking with emotion. "I let my pride and fear cloud my judgment. Can you ever forgive me?" Bela listened to his words, her heart conflicted. Part of her wanted to throw herself into his arms, to have her family whole again. But another part, the part that had endured sleepless nights and countless struggles alone, held back. "Lucas," she said slowly, "I appreciate your apology, but you hurt me deeply. You left me alone to raise 3 newborns. Do you have any idea how hard that's been?" Lucas hung his head in shame. "I can't even imagine," he admitted. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want to make things right. I want to be here for you and our children, if you'll let me." Bela's heart was guarded. She had learned to be strong on her own, and trusting Lucas again wouldn't be easy. But as she looked at him, she saw genuine remorse in his eyes. Bela led Lucas to the living room where toys and baby items were scattered about. They sat down on the couch, an uncomfortable silence hanging between them. Lucas cleared his throat. "Bela, I can't even begin to express how sorry I am. I doubted you when I should have trusted you completely." Bela nodded, her eyes distant. "It's been so hard, Lucas. You have no idea what these past years have been like." "I want to understand," Lucas said softly. "Please tell me." Bela took a deep breath. "Every day has been a struggle. Sleepless nights, endless feedings, diaper changes, and that's just the physical part. The emotional toll has been even worse." Lucas listened, his heart heavy with guilt. "Your accusations hurt me deeply," Bela continued, her voice cracking. "I felt so alone, so judged, not just by you but by everyone. People whispered behind my back, gave me strange looks. And all the while I had to stay strong for Isaac, Noah, and Maya." Tears welled up in Lucas's eyes. I was a fool, Bela. I let my pride and fear control me. I should have been here, supporting you, loving our children. Bela wiped away a tear. They're beautiful, Lucas. They're perfect, and they've needed their father. Lucas leaned forward, his voice earnest. I want to be here now. I want to be a part of their lives. I know I don't deserve it, but please, give me another chance. Let me be the father they need, the husband you deserve. Bela looked at him, her heart conflicted. She saw the sincerity in his eyes, the pain of his regret. But the memory of those lonely months still stung. I don't know, Lucas, she said softly. You hurt me so much. How can I trust that you won't leave again when things get tough? Lucas reached out, hesitantly taking her hand. I promise you, Bela, I will never doubt you again. I will spend every day proving myself to you and our children. Please, just give me the chance to make things right. Bela looked at Lucas, her heart torn between the pain of the past and the hope for the future. She took a deep breath, her eyes searching his face. Lucas, she said softly, I can't deny that the triplets need their father, but you hurt me deeply, and that's not something I can just forget. Lucas nodded, his expression filled with remorse. I understand, Bela. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. Bela continued, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. I'm willing to consider letting you back into our lives, but it won't be easy, and it won't happen overnight. Relief washed over Lucas's face, but Bela held up her hand. I need to set some boundaries, she said firmly. You need to prove that you're truly committed to being a father to Isaac, Noah, and Maya. Lucas leaned forward, his eyes earnest. Anything, Bela. I'll do anything to make this right. Bela took another deep breath. First, you'll need to spend time with the triplets, but under my supervision. We'll start with short visits, and we'll see how it goes from there. Lucas nodded eagerly. Of course. I want to get to know them, to be there for them. Second, Bela continued, you need to educate yourself. Learn about genetic mosaicism, about raising biracial children. Show me that you're willing to put in the work to understand our family. I will, Lucas promised. I'll read everything I can, talk to experts if I need to. Bela's eyes softened slightly. And lastly, Lucas, you need to rebuild my trust. That means being consistent, being patient, and understanding that it might take a long time before things feel normal between us again. Lucas reached out, gently taking Bela's hand. I understand, Bela. I know I have a lot to make up for. I promise you, I'm committed to being the father our children deserve and the husband you should have had all along. Bela nodded, allowing herself a small smile. Okay, Lucas, we'll take it one day at a time. Lucas nervously approached the living room where Bela sat with the triplets. His heart raced as he took in the sight of his children, now almost 3 years old. Isaac and Noah were on a colorful playmat, reaching for toys, while Maya nestled in Bela's arms. Hi, Lucas said softly, his voice catching in his throat. Bela nodded, acknowledging his presence. Come in, she said, gesturing to the space beside her. Lucas carefully sat down, his eyes never leaving the kids. Isaac looked up at him, his big brown eyes curious but wary. Noah continued to play with his toy, seemingly oblivious to the newcomer. This is your daddy, Bela said gently to the triplets. The words made Lucas's heart swell and ache at the same time. He reached out slowly towards Isaac, who stared at his hand for a moment before turning away, burying his face in the playmat. Lucas felt a pang of sadness but understood. He was a stranger to them. It's okay, Bela reassured him. They just need time to get used to you. Over the next hour, Lucas sat quietly watching the kids play. He spoke softly to them, telling them about himself, about how much he loved them. The triplets would occasionally glance his way, their expressions a mix of curiosity and uncertainty. As days turned into weeks, Lucas continued his visits. Each time he noticed small changes. Noah began to smile at him when he arrived. Isaac no longer turned away but would watch him intently. And Maya, sweet Maya, reached for him one day. her tiny hands grasping at the air. With tears in his eyes, Lucas looked at Bela for permission. She nodded, a small smile on her face. Gently, he picked up Maya. The feeling was indescribable, a mixture of joy, love, and regret for the time he had missed. "Hey there, buddy," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. As the weeks passed, the triplets grew more comfortable with Lucas. Isaac would walk to him, demanding to be picked up. Noah would giggle when Lucas made funny faces. And Maya, she seemed to have a special bond with him, always reaching for her daddy. Lucas felt a growing sense of hope. He knew he had a long way to go, but each smile, each laugh from his children filled him with determination. He was committed to being the father they deserved, to making up for lost time, and to rebuilding the family he had almost lost. As the days turned into weeks, Bella found herself watching Lucas with the triplets more and more. She couldn't deny the effort he was making to connect with Isaac, Noah, and Maya. His patience and gentleness touched something deep inside her, even as she tried to keep her heart guarded. One afternoon, as Lucas sat on the floor with the kids, Bella observed from the doorway. Isaac was nestled in Lucas's lap, babbling happily as his father read a colorful storybook. Noah and Maya walked nearby, occasionally pausing to look up at the sound of Lucas's animated voice. "And the little duckling found his way home," Lucas finished, closing the book softly. He looked up, catching Bella's eye. A small, hesitant smile played on his lips. Bella felt a flutter in her chest, but quickly pushed it down. She stepped into the room, sitting on the edge of the couch. "They seem to really enjoy that story," she said quietly. Lucas nodded, his eyes shining. "I can't believe how much they've grown. They're amazing, Bella. You've done such a wonderful job with them." His words, filled with sincerity, made Bella's throat tighten. She managed a small, "Thank you." As they sat there, the room filled with the soft sounds of kids' giggles. Bella felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in months. It was nice, she thought, to share these moments with someone who loved the triplets as much as she did. But even as warmth spread through her chest, Bella reminded herself to be cautious. The pain of Lucas's abandonment was still fresh, a wound that had only begun to heal. She couldn't risk opening her heart fully, not yet. The children needed stability, and she needed to protect herself from further heartbreak. Still, as she watched Lucas tenderly kiss the top of Isaac's head, Bella couldn't help but wonder if there might be a chance for healing. Maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to move forward. If not as husband and wife, then at least as partners in raising their beautiful children. Lucas took a deep breath as he carefully strapped the triplets into their stroller. It was his first solo outing with them, and his hands trembled slightly with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Bella stood in the doorway, her eyes filled with a blend of worry and hope. "You've got this," she said softly, offering him a small smile. "Just remember, Isaac likes his pacifier, Noah might get fussy if he's hungry, and Maya loves to people watch." Lucas nodded, trying to memorize every detail. "We'll be fine," he assured her, more to convince himself than Bella. With one last glance at his wife, he set off towards the nearby park. The warm sun kissed their faces as they made their way down the tree-lined street. Lucas found himself talking to the babies, pointing out dogs and flowers along the way. To his surprise, the triplets seemed to hang on his every word, their eyes wide with wonder. At the park, Lucas carefully walked them all, holding each in their hand. He spread out a blanket under a shady oak tree and sat down with the babies. Isaac immediately walked into his lap, while Noah and Maya explored the soft grass around them. As Lucas played with his children, he felt a warmth growing in his chest. He tickled Maya's and Noah's tummy, delighting in the giggles, and he cuddled Isaac close, inhaling the sweet baby scent of his hair. Time seemed to stand still as Lucas lost himself in the moment. He barely noticed the curious glances from passers-by, some doing double takes at the sight of the white father with his black children. A few people stared openly, but Lucas found he didn't care. His focus was entirely on Isaac, Noah, and Maya. As the afternoon wore on, Lucas felt a deep sense of connection with his children. He marveled at their unique personalities, already shining through at such a young age. Maya's determination, Noah's curiosity, and Isaac's gentleness filled him with a pride he had never known before. As the months passed, Lucas and Bela fell into a rhythm of co-parenting. Though they weren't officially back together, their interactions became more comfortable and natural. Lucas marveled at how much Isaac, Noah, and Maya had grown. Every milestone filled him with joy, but also with a twinge of regret for the time he had missed. One evening, after putting the babies to bed, Lucas and Bela sat together on the porch swing. The air was warm and filled with the sweet scent of blooming jasmine. Lucas turned to Bela, his heart pounding. "I can't believe how big they're getting," he said softly. "It feels like just yesterday we were bringing them home from the hospital." Bela nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "They're growing so fast. I'm glad you're here to see it all now." Lucas took a deep breath, gathering his courage. "Bela, I know I made a terrible mistake, but being here, being part of this family, it's everything to me. I want you to know how committed I am to making things right." Bela's eyes met his, a mix of hope and caution in her gaze. "I see how hard you're trying, Lucas. It means a lot." "I've been thinking," Lucas continued, his voice thick with emotion. "I want us to be a real family again. Not just co-parents, but partners. I want to fully reconcile, if you'll have me." Bela's breath caught in her throat. She looked out at the darkening sky, considering his words. "It's not that simple, Lucas. We've been through so much." "I know," Lucas said gently, "and I know I have a lot to make up for. But I love you, Bela. I love our children. I want to spend the rest of my life proving to you that I'm here for good." Tears glistened in Bela's eyes as she turned back to Lucas. "I need time to think about this. It's a big step." Lucas nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here, loving you and our babies no matter what." Bela watched as Lucas played with the triplets on the living room floor. Isaac and Noah were stacking colorful blocks while Maya walked around, singing happily. The scene warmed her heart, but a lingering doubt still gnawed at her. "They really love having you here," Bela said softly, her voice a mix of joy and hesitation. Lucas looked up, his eyes shining with gratitude. "I love being here with them. Thank you for giving me this chance, Bela." Bela nodded, but her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. She wanted to believe in Lucas's commitment, but the memory of those lonely months still haunted her. How could she truly forgive him for leaving when she needed him most? As the days passed, Bela found herself struggling with conflicting emotions. She saw how hard Lucas was trying, how patient he was with the triplets, and how he never complained about midnight feedings or diaper changes. But every time she started to let her guard down, the fear of being hurt again crept back in. One night after putting the kids to bed, Bela sat alone on the porch swing. The cool evening air helped clear her thoughts. She remembered the pain of those first few months, the overwhelming responsibility and the crushing loneliness. Could she really open her heart again, knowing how easily it could be broken? Meanwhile, Lucas lay awake in the guest room, his mind a whirlwind of regret and self-reflection. He thought about the moment he first saw the triplets, how fear and insecurity had clouded his judgment. He realized now that his own doubts and prejudices had led him to make the worst mistake of his life. Lucas remembered his own childhood, how his father had always emphasized the importance of family resemblance. "You've got your mother's eyes and my chin," his dad would say proudly. Had that ingrained belief blinded him to the possibility of genetic surprises? Had his pride and fear of what others might think driven him to abandon the people he loved most? As the night wore on, Lucas vowed to confront his own shortcomings. He knew he had a long way to go to earn back Bela's trust, but he was determined to become the man his family deserved. Lucas took a deep breath, gathering his courage. He approached Bela as she folded laundry in the living room, the gentle sounds of the triplets' nap time monitor in the background. "Bela," he said softly, "I was wondering if we could talk about something important." Bela looked up, her eyes guarded but curious. "What is it, Lucas?" He sat down on the couch, his hands clasped nervously. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about our family. I want to make things right, but I know it's not that simple." He paused, searching for the right words. "I was wondering if you'd be willing to attend a family therapy session with me." Bela's eyebrows raised in surprise. She set down the onesie she was folding and turned to face him fully. Lucas continued, his voice filled with sincerity. "I want to work on healing the wounds between us. I want to prove to you that I'm committed to our future, to being the husband and father I should have been from the start." Bela was quiet for a moment, her mind whirling with conflicting emotions. Part of her wanted to believe in Lucas's commitment, but another part still held on to the pain of his abandonment. "I don't know, Lucas," she said hesitantly. "I know it is," he replied gently, "but I think it could help us. We could talk about everything with someone who can guide us. It might give us a chance to really understand each other." Bela bit her lip, considering his words. She had to admit, the idea of having a safe space to address their issues was appealing. Maybe it could help her work through the hurt she'd been carrying. After a long pause, she nodded slowly. "Okay," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I think you're right. We should try it." Relief washed over Lucas's face. "Thank you, Bela. This means so much to me." The following week, they attended their first therapy session. As they sat side by side on the comfortable couch in the therapist's office, both felt a mix of nervousness and hope. The therapist, a kind-faced woman named Dr. Martinez, smiled warmly at them. "Let's start by talking about what brought you here today," she said. Lucas and Bela exchanged a glance, years of hurt and misunderstanding hanging between them. But as they began to speak, sharing their fears and pain with the guidance of Dr. Martinez, something shifted. For the first time in months, they felt like they were truly hearing each other. As the weeks passed, Bela and Lucas continued their therapy sessions with Dr. Martinez. Each meeting brought new insights and understanding, slowly chipping away at the walls Bela had built around her heart. One evening, after putting the triplets to bed, Bela found Lucas sitting on the porch swing, gazing at the stars. She hesitated for a moment before joining him, the gentle creaking of the swing filling the silence between them. "I've been thinking," Bela said softly, her eyes fixed on the horizon. "These therapy sessions, they've helped me see things differently." Lucas turned to her, his eyes hopeful but cautious. "How so?" Bela took a deep breath. "I can see how much you've changed, Lucas. How hard you're trying to make things right." She paused, her voice wavering slightly. I think I'm starting to forgive you." Lucas's eyes welled with tears. He reached for Bella's hand, relieved when she didn't pull away. "Bela, I can't tell you how much that means to me. I know I hurt you so deeply, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you and our children." Bela nodded, a small smile tugging at her lips. "I know you will, and I appreciate that you understand this isn't something that can be fixed overnight." Lucas squeezed her hand gently. "I do understand. I'm just grateful for the chance to try." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the weight of their conversation settling around them. It was Bela who spoke next, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe we could try going on a date, just to see how it feels?" Lucas's heart soared, but he kept his excitement in check. "I'd love that, Bela. We could take it slow, no pressure." Bela nodded, feeling a mix of nervousness and anticipation. "Okay, let's do it." As they continued to sit on the porch swing, both Bela and Lucas felt a glimmer of hope for their future. They knew the road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time in months, they felt ready to face it together. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow through the living room windows, Lucas sat on the floor with Isaac, Noah, and Maya. The triplets gathered around him with wide, curious eyes. "Did I ever tell you about the time I built a treehouse with Grandpa?" Lucas asked, his voice soft and gentle. The children shook their heads, their curly hair bouncing with the movement. Lucas smiled, feeling a warmth spread through his chest as he looked at their eager faces. "Well, I was just about your age," he began, gesturing with his hands. Grandpa and I spent all summer working on it. We had so much fun." As Lucas continued his story, he watched the triplets' reactions. Isaac's eyes grew wide with wonder. Noah giggled at the funny parts, and Maya reached out to touch Lucas's arm, as if to make sure he was really there. Lucas felt a lump form in his throat as he realized how much he had missed in their first year. The guilt washed over him, but it was quickly replaced by an overwhelming sense of love for these three beautiful children. "And then," Lucas continued, his voice slightly shaky, "the treehouse was finished. It became my favorite place in the whole world." The triplets clapped their hands, delighted by the story. Noah walked into Lucas's lap, while Isaac and Maya snuggled up on either side of him. "Again, Daddy," Maya chirped, her small hand patting Lucas's cheek. Lucas's heart swelled at the word Daddy. He wrapped his arms around all three children, holding them close. As they laughed and played, reaching out to touch his face and tug at his shirt, Lucas felt a profound shift within himself. In that moment, looking into their innocent, loving eyes, Lucas realized he was finally their father in every sense. The regret for lost time was still there, but it was overshadowed by the immense love he felt for Isaac, Noah, and Maya. Bella stood silently in the doorway, her hand resting on the frame as she watched the heartwarming scene unfold before her. The sound of Lucas's gentle voice and the children's laughter filled the room, tugging at her heartstrings. As she observed Lucas with their triplets, a whirlwind of emotions swept through her. The memory of his abandonment, the long nights she spent alone caring for their newborns, and the pain of his absence still lingered in her heart. Yet she couldn't deny the love and tenderness she now saw in Lucas's eyes as he held their children close. Isaac's curly head rested on Lucas's shoulder, while Noah played with his father's fingers, and Maya snuggled contentedly in his lap. The sight brought tears to Bella's eyes, a mixture of joy and lingering hurt. She took a deep breath, trying to reconcile her conflicting feelings. The Lucas she saw now was so different from the man who had walked away from them 2 years ago. He was patient, loving, and fully committed to their children. As she continued to watch, Bella felt a small shift in her heart. The bitterness she had been holding onto for so long felt heavy and out of place in this moment of pure love between father and children. She realized that clinging to that pain was not only hurting her, but could potentially harm their family's future. Bella closed her eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of happiness wash over her. When she opened them again, she saw Lucas looking up at her, his eyes full of warmth and a silent plea for forgiveness. In that instant, Bella began to acknowledge that holding onto her anger and hurt would only create more pain for all of them in the long run. She didn't have all the answers yet, and the path to complete forgiveness still seemed long. But as she watched Lucas shower their children with the love they deserved, Bella felt the first real stirrings of hope for their future as a family. As the children drifted off to sleep, Lucas gently laid them in their cribs. He turned to see Bella still standing in the doorway, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Taking a deep breath, he slowly walked towards her. "Bella," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "I know I've said this before, but I'm so sorry for everything. For doubting you, for leaving, for missing out on so much." Bella nodded silently, her gaze fixed on the sleeping triplets. Lucas continued, his words coming from deep within his heart. "But it's not just about asking for forgiveness anymore. I want you to know how much I admire you, Bella. The strength you've shown raising our children alone, it's incredible." Bella's eyes widened slightly, surprised by his words. "You've done an amazing job with Isaac, Noah, and Maya," Lucas said, his voice filled with genuine awe. "They're happy, healthy, and so loved. That's all because of you." Tears began to roll down Bella's cheeks as Lucas spoke. "I can't thank you enough for giving me a second chance," he said, his own eyes welling up. "For allowing me to be part of their lives, to try and make things right. You didn't have to do that, but you did. Your capacity for forgiveness, it's humbling." Bella felt her breath catch in her throat. Lucas's words were sincere, his admiration palpable. For the first time since he'd returned, she truly felt the depth of his remorse and his appreciation for all she'd done. "I know I have a long way to go," Lucas continued, "but I promise you, I'll spend every day trying to be the father our children deserve and the partner you should have had all along." Bella's heart swelled with emotion. She had longed to hear these words, to feel truly seen and appreciated for all she had endured. Lucas's heartfelt admission touched her deeply, chipping away at the last remnants of her protective walls. Bella took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She looked into Lucas's eyes, seeing the sincerity and remorse that shone there. In that moment, she made a decision that would change the course of their lives. "Lucas," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly, I forgive you." Lucas's eyes widened in surprise and relief. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Instead, tears began to roll down his cheeks. Bella felt her own eyes fill with tears as she continued, "It hasn't been easy, and there were times I thought I'd never be able to forgive you. But seeing you with our children, hearing your words just now, I know you mean it." Lucas nodded, unable to speak through his emotions. He reached out tentatively, and Bella allowed him to take her hand. "I can't promise it will be easy," Bella said, her voice growing stronger. "We have a lot to work through, and trust takes time to rebuild, but I'm willing to try, for us and for our family." Lucas squeezed her hand gently. "Thank you, Bella," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I promise I'll do everything I can to make this work. You and our children mean everything to me." They stood there for a moment, both crying softly, the weight of the past months lifting from their shoulders. It was a small step, but an important one on the path to healing their family. Bella looked over at the sleeping triplets, then back at Lucas. "We'll take it one day at a time," she said, "for Isaac, Noah, and Maya. They deserve to have both their parents, together and happy." Lucas nodded, a small smile breaking through his tears. "Together," he repeated, the word filled with hope and promise. As the days turned into weeks, Bella and Lucas began to spend more time together as a family. They started with small outings, taking the triplets to the local park on sunny afternoons. Isaac, Noah, and Maya squealed with delight as Lucas pushed them on the swings, their tiny legs kicking in the air. Bella watched from a nearby bench, a small smile playing on her lips as she saw the joy on her children's faces. Slowly but surely, the family started to feel like a unit again. They established new routines, with Lucas coming over for dinner most evenings. He'd help Bella bathe the triplets and put them to bed, reading them stories in funny voices that made the babies giggle. As the triplets' third birthday approached, Bella and Lucas worked together to plan a small celebration. They decorated the living room with colorful balloons and streamers, and Bella baked a simple cake. When the day arrived, they sang happy birthday to Isaac, Noah, and Maya, who clapped their hands and smeared frosting all over their faces. Watching her children blow out their candles, with a little help from Lucas, Bella felt a warmth spread through her chest. She glanced at Lucas, who was beaming with pride, and realized how far they had come. Later that evening, after the triplets were tucked into bed, Bella and Lucas sat on the porch swing, enjoying the peaceful night air. "Thank you," Lucas said softly, breaking the comfortable silence. Bella turned to him, her eyebrow raised. "For what?" "For giving me this chance," he replied, his voice filled with gratitude. "For letting me be a part of their lives. And yours." Bella reached out and took his hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "We're healing," she said simply. "All of us, together." As they sat there, hand in hand, Bella felt a sense of peace wash over her. The road ahead might not be perfect, but she knew that with love and patience, their family would continue to grow stronger. As the weeks turned into months, Lucas's commitment to his family grew stronger with each passing day. He embraced his role as a father with enthusiasm and dedication, determined to make up for lost time. Every morning, he'd wake up early to help with the triplets' breakfast routine. "I've got this, Bella," Lucas would say, gently taking Maya from her arms. "Why don't you go get ready for work?" Bella would smile gratefully, watching as Lucas expertly juggled feeding the 3 hungry toddlers. She marveled at how far he had come, from a man who had once run away to a father who now seemed to thrive in the chaos of raising triplets. Lucas didn't stop at just helping with the children. He took on household chores without being asked, doing laundry, washing dishes, and even tackling the dreaded task of cleaning the bathrooms. His efforts didn't go unnoticed by Bella, who felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. One evening, as Bella mentioned a big presentation she had coming up at work, Lucas immediately offered to take extra time off to care for the triplets. "You focus on your career, Bella," he said earnestly. "I've got everything covered here." Bella felt a rush of gratitude wash over her. She realized that not only was Lucas being a wonderful father, but he was also supporting her dreams and ambitions. It was a stark contrast to the man who had abandoned her all those months ago. As they worked together to create a loving and stable environment for Isaac, Noah, and Maya, Bella saw a new side of Lucas emerging. He was patient, kind, and endlessly devoted to their children. The house was filled with laughter and love, a far cry from the lonely days Bella had endured as a single mother. One lazy Sunday afternoon, as they watched the triplets play in the backyard, Bella turned to Lucas with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Lucas looked at her, puzzled. "For what?" "For coming back," Bella replied. "For being the father our children deserve, and for supporting me in ways I never expected." Bella and Lucas packed up their minivan, carefully securing Isaac, Noah, and Maya in their car seats. It was their first family vacation since reuniting, and excitement filled the air as they set off for the beach. The 2-hour drive was filled with cheerful chatter and the occasional fussing from the toddlers. Lucas sang silly songs to keep the triplets entertained, while Bella navigated and handed out snacks. As they neared the coast, the salty sea air wafted through the open windows. Arriving at the small beach house they had rented, Bella and Lucas worked together to unload the car and settle the children. The triplets squealed with delight as they caught sight of the ocean from the porch. "Look at the water!" Bella exclaimed, pointing towards the sparkling blue expanse. The children's eyes widened with wonder. After a quick lunch and nap time, the family made their way down to the beach. Lucas carried a large umbrella and cooler, while Bella held hands with Isaac and Noah. Maya rode on her hip, babbling excitedly. They found a perfect spot near the water's edge and set up their beach camp. Lucas spread out a large blanket, while Bella slathered sunscreen on the squirming toddlers. "Who wants to build a sandcastle?" Lucas asked, pulling out plastic buckets and shovels from their beach bag. The triplets eagerly gathered around their father, giggling as he showed them how to pack wet sand into the buckets. Bella watched with a smile, her heart swelling with joy at the sight of her family playing together. As the afternoon wore on, they took turns splashing in the shallow water with the children. Bella held Maya's hands as tiny waves lapped at their feet, while Lucas chased after Isaac and Noah, their laughter carried by the sea breeze. Later, as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, the family sat together on their blanket. They shared sandwiches and fruit, watching the waves roll in and out. Bella leaned against Lucas, feeling a deep sense of contentment wash over her. "This is perfect," she murmured, looking at their children playing quietly with seashells. Lucas squeezed her hand gently. "It really is," he agreed, his voice filled with gratitude. As the day came to a close, Bella realized that this simple beach trip represented so much more than just a vacation. It was a symbol of their healing, their renewed commitment, and the beautiful family they had become. As the sun began to set on their second day at the beach, Bella and Lucas sat side by side on the porch of their rented beach house. The triplets were fast asleep inside, exhausted from a day of building sandcastles and chasing waves. The sound of the ocean provided a soothing backdrop as they watched the sky turn shades of pink and orange. Lucas took a deep breath, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "Bella," he said softly, "I've been thinking a lot about us, about our family." Bella turned to look at him, her heart quickening. "What's on your mind?" she asked. Lucas met her gaze, his eyes filled with emotion. "These past few days have been amazing. Being here with you and the kids, it feels right. It feels like home." He paused, gathering his courage. "I want this all the time. I want us to be a real family again." Bela felt tears welling up in her eyes. She had been feeling the same way, but hearing Lucas say it out loud made it real. "Lucas, I know I hurt you," Lucas continued, his voice cracking. "And I know it's taken time for us to get here. But I love you, Bela. I love our children, and I want to make this work, officially." Bela reached out and took Lucas's hand in hers. "I've been thinking about it too," she admitted. "Watching you with Isaac, Noah, and Maya, seeing how much you've changed and grown, it's made me realize that I'm ready to move forward as a family." Lucas's eyes lit up with hope. "Really?" he asked, barely above a whisper. Bela nodded, a smile spreading across her face. "Really. We've come so far, Lucas. From that terrible day in the hospital to now, it's like we've come full circle." Lucas pulled Bela into a gentle embrace, both of them overwhelmed with emotion. As they held each other, the pain of the past seemed to melt away, replaced by the warmth of forgiveness and the promise of a future together. "I love you," Lucas murmured into Bela's hair. "I love you too," Bela replied, her voice filled with certainty. As they sat there, wrapped in each other's arms, they both felt a sense of peace settle over them. They had weathered the storm and come out stronger on the other side. Now they were ready to face whatever the future held, together as a family. Back at home, Bela and Lucas bustled around their cozy living room, hanging colorful streamers and balloons. The air was filled with excitement as they prepared for the small party celebrating their reconciliation and the triplets' birthday. "I can't believe it. Before they are all just tiny and now they are growing," Bela said, her eyes misting as she arranged a tray of cupcakes. Lucas paused from blowing up balloons and wrapped an arm around her waist. "And what a year it's been," he replied, planting a soft kiss on her cheek. As guests began to arrive, the house filled with the warmth of laughter and chatter. Close friends and family members cooed over Isaac, Noah, and Maya, who were dressed in adorable matching outfits. Bela's parents, Tom and Sarah, approached the couple with broad smiles. "We're so happy for you both," Sarah said, pulling them into a tight hug. "You've been through so much, but look at you now." Lucas's best friend, Mike, clapped him on the back. "It's good to see you back where you belong, man," he said, nodding towards Bela and the triplets. The living room buzzed with joy as everyone gathered around to sing happy birthday to the triplets. Bela and Lucas stood side by side with the kids, all three wide-eyed at the candles on their cake. As the song ended and the candles were blown out, Lucas cleared his throat. "Everyone, if we could have your attention for a moment," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Bela and I want to thank you all for being here today. These past years has been a journey, to say the least." Bela squeezed his hand, encouraging him to continue. Lucas took a deep breath. "We've faced challenges we never expected, but we've come out stronger. Today we're not just celebrating our beautiful children's first birthday, but also the rebirth of our family." Tears glistened in Bela's eyes as she added, "We're so grateful for the love and support you've all shown us. It means the world to have you here as we start this new chapter." The room erupted in applause and cheers. Friends and family members surrounded the couple, offering hugs and words of encouragement. As the party wound down and the last guests said their goodbyes, Bela and Lucas found themselves alone with the triplets. The house, which had been filled with laughter and chatter just moments ago, now settled into a peaceful quiet. Lucas gathered up Isaac and Noah while Bela cradled Maya in her arms. They made their way to the living room, where the warm glow of the setting sun painted the walls in soft hues of orange and pink. "What a day," Bela sighed contentedly as they settled onto the couch. Lucas nodded, a gentle smile playing on his lips. It was perfect. The triplets, worn out from all the excitement, nestled against their parents. Isaac and Noah curled up on either side of Lucas, while Maya snuggled into Bela's lap. As they sat there watching the sun slowly dip below the horizon, Bela felt a wave of emotion wash over her. She looked at her beautiful children, then at Lucas, who met her gaze with love and understanding. In that moment, Bella's mind wandered over the events of the past year, the shock and pain of Lucas's initial departure, the struggle of raising 3 newborns on her own, the heartache of misunderstanding, and finally, the slow, steady journey of healing and reconciliation. She thought about how love had carried them through the darkest times, how forgiveness had opened the door to healing, and how their shared resilience had brought them to this place of peace. Lucas reached out and took Bella's hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. Bella smiled, her eyes glistening with happy tears. "Just how far we've come," she replied, "and how grateful I am for this moment, for our family." As the last rays of sunlight faded, casting a soft twilight glow over the room, Bella felt a deep sense of contentment settle in her heart. She looked at her sleeping children, then at Lucas, who gazed back at her with adoration. In that quiet moment, surrounded by the love of her family, Bella knew that their future was bright and filled with love. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, stronger than ever before. If you enjoyed the story of Bella and Lucas, I handpicked this next story that will touch your heart. Please don't miss this one. Click here to watch it.